welcome to another drawing session of The Raven. I'm your host, Ray. The Raven is a noir-style suspense thriller, one-shot comic. I'm documenting the process as I go, sharing my thoughts, techniques, and whatever else pops in my head as I draw. Let me set my timer, and let's get into it. So I have this set for 30 minutes today, instead of an hour, so it'll be a little shorter. Last time I did this, I actually finished a few things that I didn't point out that I forgot to do, like pull this lamp down and that kind of thing. So there's some, and I added some shading in here for myself for later. So this looks a little different than it did last time, then that would be why. All right, so then I have, let's just try to get this panel by panel done. I like to use the timer because it forces me to stay focused. You know, I kind of feel the pressure of getting this done. Just helps me. Okay, so like I said, I wouldn't believe it if you told me either. Okay, so that's the kid, or the, you know, the guy that's sitting in the interrogation room. And I can really, again, to save some time, I think what I'm going to do is open the first page where he was. This is him. And I'm going to change his expression, but for simplicity's sake and making sure I get this done. So we're going to set him up like this. It's real close. Have him talking off to the side. And there's just going to be like a brick wall behind him, most likely. So any other thing I want to do to add to him, I'm going to erase these little dots. Okay, so he looks concerned here. So what I'm going to do, because he was concerned, and now we're going to make it more like, he's more like, yeah, I know. It seems a bit crazy, but it's true. It's what I saw. So I want to try to give that expression as best as I can. This will look better once it's inked and everything, because I'm not going to leave it like this. I'll take my time inking, but I do want to get the expression down right, or down first, make sure I'm happy with it. You sort of wrinkling his forehead. I'm going to maybe make him like he's kind of furrowing his eyelids down, if that's the correct term. I don't even know what I'm saying. Seriously, let's maybe he's got his eyes kind of down like this, sort of like, I know he kind of looks almost ashamed. And I was thinking maybe I could have him kind of frowning instead of talking here. Let's erase that part at least. And then his jawline should be a little bit further up, because he's not going to be talking. You know, your jaw comes down as you talk. Something to keep in mind if you're drawing. That's a little, that's a little dramatic. Just a subtle thing. Like, it doesn't have to be for, you know, this. I'm not talking about this like I don't know what there is to know, but I'm just telling you, like, just a subtle amount of movement is good enough, I think. Just my opinion. Everything I say, don't take it with a grain of salt. Don't get all twisted about it now. So something like that, that's all I was really going for. Do a hand gesture if you want. Maybe throwing his hands up in the air. But I figured he's just kind of sitting here in disbelief and doesn't think this cop's going to believe him, which he knows he shouldn't. A sane person wouldn't believe what he's saying. And then all have to edit that out. All the detail that I add in here now, I'm going to have to go back and make sure that all of the panels make sense to each other, that the faces make sense, and all that good stuff. And this guy's, he's pretty beefy, so the back of his trap comes down back here, and then he's got his SCM, like I was talking about before, kind of coming down because he's in good shape. So, you could see his sternum and his clavicles over here and all that good stuff. And I'm not copying and pasting and changing the character around because I'm not wanting to draw them. I'm just trying to save time. So if you feel like you're cheating, and it's not really cheating, you're just copying your own paper. If you were doing an animation, you're going to copy your own stuff and then manipulate them that way. So I don't see the difference. I mean, that's what Disney artists used to do. They would sit down, like hundreds of people would be literally copying images from drawings and then painting those drawings onto cell paper. And, it's not cheating. It's okay. You do you, boo-boo. I wanted to have maybe a sense of like, again, foreboding, because he's seen some stuff now. So I'm just going to leave this bubble here, and then I'm going to do the brick wall again, because that's how I did it before. And then the plaster, and that'll look more detailed. But just to give you like something to look at and give you a sense of where he's at in the room. And then the light can be coming down because of where he's at in the other scene. the light's kind of coming in front of his face. You can lighten him up and then make the background really dark. You can just do something like this for now, just so that I know when I come back to do it, it'll be dark. And that's behind him, by the way. I can erase this if I want to. And then that bubble will be around here. And I think this is just so that I know later when I go to do it, when I ink it and color it and stuff. I like to work in steps. I know it's digital inking, but it's still inking in my mind. So that way you get a feel that he's sort of in this dark place. And if you want to, you can always leave yourself a note. You know, you could say like this is, if you wanted to, you can leave a note that says, this is, the background will be dark and he'll be in lightness and stuff. And I might do that this time, just so I remember. That way I know that it's not text. It's meant to be bubble wrapped. But it's something I can come back to later and be like, okay. And I'll change the font type too, because I might get motor set and forget what I'm doing. So just pick a different font. It doesn't matter what it is. All right, that took about 9 minutes to do, because just changing up a few things. And then, and this guy too, for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to change his posturing and stuff. So I'm going to take this other guy that's in the background here somewhere. So basically this whole panel I'm going to copy, but I'm going to change his posturing and everything. So I'm going to bring this over here, lock that one, drop that into here. Yeah, that's supposed to be in there. All right, the front of that layer, there we go. Because this is a little bit different, I'm going to pull him a little bigger. I kind of just want to have him look a little bit more laid back, like a little bit more resolved. Kind of like, okay, we heard your story, kid. Maybe his eyes will be a little bit more rounded here, not so intense looking. Because before he was kind of judging him like, what is this kid going to tell me? And then now he's like, okay, this kid's insane. Or he's just playing a prank. And then we'll just have him, his eyebrows kind of furrowing up like this. Not as much, maybe just kind of, that's a little much. Yeah. Maybe just like more of a flat expression. It's like his eyes are kind of like, did you really just tell me that story? But, well, that's all right. We'll follow up on it, because you never know. Kind of the face he's making, I think. And maybe a little bit of a flatness to his face. Like, not as concerned, but more like just, okay. Neutral. That's what I'm trying to say. I think is a good way to say it. He's just kind of like, all right, whatever. Yeah, whatever, kid. Okay, so his eye. I think where his center of his eyeballs are, it doesn't make a lot of sense because he's right in front of him. That way he looks like he's looking straight at the camera and the viewer, so it makes it feel like it's you, I guess. And I'm not always planning this stuff out. I'm just thinking it through as I go. It's kind of the fun part of it. So he's sitting here. So behind him would really basically just be the corner of the room. And I was thinking about fixing his hand, but let me see. I might change his posturing too. I'm not sure. I thought about maybe just like making him look like he's sitting back in the chair. I got 17 minutes to do that. Let's see if we can do it. This is pretty rough to do in 17 minutes. Let's just say corner of the room is more or less like that, right? And then he's got the, actually, you know what? I don't like it even like that. That doesn't look natural. Okay. That ought to work for now. And so then the door, we'll just put like a part of it. Hang on. Yeah, I'll just say like part of the door is this way. We have it sort of facing inward. The door jamb, so to speak, right about like that, like the doorway. That should work. Yeah, it gives you a sense of where he's at. And if you want to line the floor, you can. I'm not sure what I'm doing with the floor just yet. Something like that ought to work. It could be carpet. Who knows? We'll see how if I get there. If I don't like what that looks like. I don't like the way that looks. I can always change it. It's usually like some kind of Berber carpet, but whatever. It could be a hard tile floor. It doesn't matter. And to make the scenes interesting, I could take his truck, put his truck here, have him walking up to it. I'm not going to have time to do that right now. That would take me a good 30 minutes, probably 30 minutes to an hour to draw by myself. To draw that single panel might take me about an hour or so. So I think maybe he just has his arm behind him. Might work here on this side. I don't know. I'm just experimenting. See what I like. Let's just move his arm. You know, his arm's kind of foreshortened here. So what I'm going to do is... Okay, so maybe he just has his arm down behind the table, like he's about ready to stand up, kind of a thing. Maybe his shoulder's a little bit more relaxed. Yeah, because before he was tense because his kid, he's not sure what he's going to tell him, but now he's kind of like, all right, whatever, this kid's just messing with me. Kind of the thing I'm going for anyway. Okay. Same thing with this side. Let's just get rid of his hand on this one. And then this is free drawn, by the way. It's not perfectly straight, so. And then we'll have his other arm. Maybe the same kind of thing. So down like that. I don't like both those arms down. It looks a little. I think what I'll do is I'll have his. Let's just erase this for now. Background comes last for me. I want my foreground first. So we'll relax the shoulder a little bit. He's got his shirt kind of sticking out here. Oops. All right, and then oops. Maybe his other arm is. It's sort of when you're painting, and when I paint and I draw normally, and not digitally, I want to say not real life, but like when I do it digitally, I can't really step away from the canvas, so zooming out helps to kind of get a feel if I'm happy with the way it looks, because you zoom in too much and you start to feel like you can't really tell the direction you're going if you're happy with it or not, because you can't see it. You got to back up sometimes. So when I'm painting, what I would normally do is take a step back and look, and then kind of gather myself and then come back to it again. I can't really do that digitally as easily. So zooming out, you can come back to it if you want. Just walk away, come back, or take a step back, literally get up and get out of your chair. But I have everything recording right now. It's kind of hard for me to do that, so I'm just doing folds in his shirt and stuff that I'm happy with. I don't know. Decisions. I just give the folds into his shirt and make it look somewhat believable. And of course, this was just a guide for his arm, but what I'm going to do is same sort of thing. Shirts, they crumple, they don't stay perfectly in shape when you're sitting down. What was it blending? I grabbed the blender. Oops. Okay, so his tie. And also his tie can be kind of like crumpled up a little because he's sitting down, so then you can kind of push the volume of, or not the volume, but the kind of volume, but you kind of push the shape of the tie like that, and then you can put a little dent in it. It'll make it look like his tie is kind of bending there. If you want, you can get a little bit more detail than that if you'd like. Just it gives a sense that it's folding. And so they're on opposite sides of the table, and they're also on opposite sides of the panels, and it just kind of gives you like I did that for readability flow, so it kind of forces you to see them. They're from very different sides of the table, both physically and figuratively. He's thinking that he was the skeptic, and now he's like, I don't know so much anymore. And then this cop over here has now become the skeptic. So, the cop is very skeptical. I mean, it's his job, right? So that's why he looks like he does. I mean, I could have his head tilting back and he's leaning back in his chair, but I think that works for now. If I decide to change that, I will, but I think that's good. And then I have skeptic gets in his car and goes home visibly shaken by what's transpired. I actually thought he was going to have a car, but I gave him a truck. So his truck is, and yes, I am going to grab this because it's easier. Wait, let me not. I don't remember what page number that was where his truck is. 9 maybe? I know there's another one where they go back and, oh, that's her car. That's right. Because her car's on the outside here. So you don't know that they all have cars until later. So 12 has got his truck tearing up, bouncing out of Dodge. And then I got his truck here. So I might do another version of his truck, but I'll do is I just want to have some reference of my own. I drew that from a Chevy, like an old school Chevy. My brother used to have that truck. It's a cool ass truck. Let me close that. Big old monster of a truck, man. It was solid steel. Thing would knock you out. No. Where did you go? Okay, so it should have been up here. All right. So I can use this like him walking up to it, but I was actually going to do was just use this as an idea of how to draw the front because I want to draw it. Yeah, 30 minutes is not enough to draw a page for me. And even if I'm copying and pasting like I did and manipulating things around, I'll just have it go another 30 minutes when that timer goes off, and we'll just go ahead and chop it down to a 20-minute video like I have been doing. Never mind. All right, so let's see. Let's have the truck. We could have a truck parked like that. That's fine. But I was going to do... I don't know why that's so... green did I pick? That's crazy. I can't even tell what color I picked. It's really bizarre. Standard color set? Maybe that's where it's at. I mean, that's what I'm doing. Is this it? It's close. Man, that's wild. I don't know what color that is. Well, anyway, I'll just grab this one. It's just nice to see different colors. Okay, so I'm going to do... his boxy truck is like this. All right. I'm going to have him coming like walking up to it, I think. So we're going to do this. And then the headlights are in these little squares. Again, this is very, very much still in the sketch phase. So consider that. And then the hood of the truck comes up this way. There's actually a sort of a slope to it like this in the middle. It's kind of a pinch weld kind of thing, but whatever. You get the indication is there. And then this is actually rounded off a bit. Not rounded, but more like rolled around the front. Sort of the windshield area, it kind of pitches in. And you have the frame of the truck, the roof. You usually don't see a lot of it from this angle. And then there's the wiper blades. And then maybe I'll just get an implication of the seat because, like, he's not going to be in it yet. All right, and then the back window showing through here. Oops. A little bit. And then, of course, the back would be like this. You wouldn't see all the rest of that necessarily. That pretty much works. I mean, it's not perfect. And again, it's not really meant to be. It's a sketch. As long as it gets the point across for what I'm doing, I think that should work. The cabin might need to be a little bit taller than that. That's just me being me, but not a problem. I'll just stretch it up a little bit. All right, that'll work, I guess. More of an indication that there is a bumper here. Or not a bumper, the hood. I think that works. You know, for his old school truck he got going on. His hood actually, I think that's the problem too, is that from this reference, the hood is a little more, yeah, it's a little more up than that. Something right around in there. So it comes off where the edge of the hood is, right there. That more or less looks right to me. Again, it's meant to be an implication of it's meant to be the idea of his truck. It doesn't have to be exactly the thing that I based it on. Actually, it's probably better you don't absolutely base it on it, because then, you're not going to have legal issues. Just a reference is fine, but copying exactly, that's usually kind of legal. Little legal trouble waters probably, so I wouldn't do that. So he's going to go get into his car. I'm about at the end of 30 minutes here in a couple of seconds. So I'm going to have to start again and see if I can't draw him. Let's see if I can do this guy here. Where was it? Maybe page 2. I have him standing up somewhere, I thought. I'm trying to I'm referencing my own character because I don't remember how I should have done. You really should do character sheets if you're going to do this, because it'll keep you on model, or just have an idea of what they're supposed to look like. But I didn't do that because I didn't do that because this is a one shot. I wasn't sure if I was going to stick with this story, if anybody was even going to be interested in it or not. But really, honestly, you should do that regardless. It's a better way to go about it, because then you can reference your own stuff and not be confused about what it should look like. Like a bit like me. All right, so we have this guy here standing. Yeah, I don't really have... Yeah, I don't really have that. I'll just have to stand him up. Okay. So, push and pull, have some fun. Let's go draw this guy. All right, let's lock that down. Okay, so he's pretty tall, I would think. The truck is yay tall. He's going to be probably about the same height as this truck, more or less. Let's just pretend that this truck is a big boy. Okay, so if he's this tall next to it, I don't know. Let's see. Well, let's keep him in perspective. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so I'm just going to draw him. Maybe walking this way. It feels like he's too short. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because this feels more like a car from the front. I mean, no, that ain't wrong. Kind of what it looks like. All right, yeah. No, I mean, that's more or less right. I'm just going to make him a little bit taller than the truck. Not by a lot. Not a big deal. You can always resize him. But, he's a big guy, so he's going to have this deltoid here. This little... It just doesn't feel right. I don't know why. Whatever, I'll draw him real quick and then we'll figure it out. I don't even remember what he's wearing. He's wearing like a V-neck. I don't know why I gave him a V-neck, but I did. Because reasons. So his neck comes down like that. His big old... Wait, he's got those triangular kind of ninja eyes I used to give my characters. I don't love his nose. Hang on. That's way too big of an eraser. Yeah, he's got the pudgy nose. I forgot. That's right. So his nose is kind of... Let me move this guideline. Yeah, something like that. It's not quite that pronounced, but... Gave him a big old honker, you know what I mean? He's got a big old pudgy nose. And it might be a little too long there. All right. Love the way he looks from the profile. Let me use a smaller... Wait a minute. Pencil? Yes. It's good to draw big because then you can use a lot more detail. But if you're using a small pencil like this, it's easier. Yeah, I don't like his honker, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Not sure what it is about his nose I don't like, but it just doesn't feel like he's on model, so I'm gonna keep working it until I get it. Yeah, that more or less looks right to me. Make his lips a little... Sometimes the big brushes mess me up. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way that looked, not the brush itself. Let me move this up a little bit. He's a little too extended. Man, I'm not happy with the way that looks at all. Another reason you draw on model, to have a model laying around so you can draw. Let's see. He's close, but his nose is kind of the thing bothering me the most. Yeah, that'll work. So this is kind of pudgy like that, and then let's do something like this maybe. So it's kind of his top lip here, and then the bottom lip is going to come underneath. But it's a little bit much. This eyeliner that's got going on. I'm not feeling this. Hang on. Okay. Let's do his eye. All right. I think maybe his eye's just too high too. Hang on. Really not loving the way he looks, man. What am I doing? There we go. That's his nose was too big. And now his eyes are his eyes are creepy. Well, we'll fix that. No problem. I mean, he is freaked out, but he doesn't need to look like a serial killer himself. And then the brow line, usually, it comes. Your forehead's like that. Your brow line pretty much goes right up on it, and then you have the impression of your eye. So the bridge should come down like that. And like I said, man, in doubt, grab a reference if you're not sure how you want your person to look. I think he looks more or less right. I think his nose is the right length and everything, but I think the bump of his nostril isn't right. It should only be like this. That was goofy. Yeah, that's better, I think. When you're looking at the character from the side, you don't get the full view of the eye. It just depends on how you're looking at the character, obviously, but he's gonna have his. I'm drawing this as a comic character, so I'm not super worried about absolute anatomical correctness. But if you are, your eye is actually from the side. Your eye tends to look like this. You'll have like the eyeball, but it'll be sort of flat like this, and then you might get this much of the eye, and this is where the your eyelashes and stuff would meet here. If you wanted to draw it more realistic, which I'm not going for 100% realism here. Again, sketch, but if you want to make it look paranoid and freaking out, that's the way to do it. So if you want to draw an eye, I mean, this is not a tutorial on how to draw an eye, but if you wanted to draw a really basic one, you could do that. And then the round side of your eye, your eyeball, it comes sort of like draw almost like a V on a side, and then do this, and then you can just add a little bit of that. If you want to, you could do it that way, and then that'll be more realistic of an eye. Your eye is convex, and then the light enters, hits your retina, and does its things with the rods and cones back here, converts it to information you can understand. What's also awkward is that the world is upside down inverted. Never mind. But yeah, see, like this would be a much more realistic looking eye than this. If I do something like this, that'll make him look a little bit more real. What the hell did I just do? How did let's say, can erase the eyeball. But he looks a little too relaxed like that, I think. I want him to be upset, and so he doesn't look as terrified to me. So if I pull that back a little bit. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. See, he's seen things. So let's just do it like that. And then I'll pull it here. And now see, he looks like he's in a trance. He's seen some things. He's terrified. He didn't know what to do. He reported it to police, and he's not sure what they're going to do. If there's anything they can do at all, so yeah. Also, if you're drawing the face, well, from the side view like this, you have underneath your neck, your sclera, you have a muscle that kind of rolls and underneath here, but it's sort of like that. But it just, at this angle, I'm not really going to be able to see it very well. It's just like if you were looking underneath the jawline, like, or if this is the like absolute side of someone's jaw, and you're looking underneath like this, their neck. I'm not describing this well. If you're looking at like underneath someone's jawline, and this was their neck down here, you have this muscle in here. It's the plasma, and when you're drawing a character from, say, like the side, you might do this, and then you would draw this coming down as part of their neck. So when this comes down, it connects here, and like the Adam's apples in there. Their neck's back here, and the rest of their face is over here. I'm saying their ear. So my point is, from this angle, I didn't draw it because, oops. I don't know why it picked that. Okay. I didn't draw that because, well, reasons. It's the angle he's at, for one. And from this angle, he's going to have he might, you might see an Adam's apple or something like that if you really wanted to get detailed about it. You don't have to. Honestly, that's up to you. But again, that SCM comes down from where the jawline connects here. And I'm being really messy about this. Clean some of this up. So where the jawline comes down, like I said, your SEM is right there. And that's enough of an impression, I think. And, he's kind of walking dead on to his truck. And I don't usually go that detailed when I sketch. And I just go, these are just sketches. So I just kind of try to get the idea down real quick. But I don't remember what he was wearing. Hold on, I got to go back. I'm killing time trying to do this. Goofy mess. I'll have to just delete some of this. It's okay. That's page 1. Come on. Page 2. Somewhere in here. Yeah, he is. He's this big old belt buckle. I wasn't sure what he was wearing. Not a belt buckle, but a pair of jeans with a... What do you call it? Just the belt loops. So he's just pretending he has a belt on. Okay, so he's doing that. And then... gotta do his legs. I guess he's walking, right? So knee. Connect the leg. The leg is flexing. You're not going to see that side of it. And his leg is going to be up here. I'm just going to put that in its own layer so I can move it around. And I can move that around without it being a problem. So, let's see. Actually, I don't like the way he looks there. Let me just do... I'm not worried about his perspective here just yet. I'm going to make sure that he looks right first, and then I can move him around and think about what I want to do with him. I guess his one foot could be... Yeah, I'm not trying to beat the clock. I'm just using it as a way to keep myself focused and trying not to go over too much. And remember, his perspective is here. I'm doing this for myself as well as trying to show you what I'm thinking. But if this were like, if the camera were basically focused on this point here, you would think like, if this is the horizontal or the horizon line, let's say like back there, then everything should kind of fit into that. So when you're drawing your guy's feet coming down, you just have to consider where that might be in relation to the horizon line. So he might be doing something like that, And his pant leg is a little far forward. There we go. He could just be standing there like that. And I draw these just as guides, just to give myself an idea of where it should go. His calves, that kind of thing. He's wearing shoes and jeans, so this is just a rough outline. And also, Clip Studio Paint actually has these guidelines. I just never really use them. I just don't. It's not because they're bad or anything like that, or because I think I'm too good to use them. It's just I just don't use them. I just forget that they're even there. They have all kinds of really cool stuff in this program I just don't use. So if his calf were here, more or less, that looks terrible. Let's clean that up. Okay. That's not terrible necessarily, but where his knee would be bending would be a little higher than that. So give or take, it's halfway, right? So his knee's somewhere in there. Your calf comes up the backside of your knee. It's more or less a straight shot to your Achilles. Comes out a little bit. I'm just doing this as like a practice, I guess. Making sure I'm happy with the way that looks. And then I just use it as a skeleton so that I can go back over it with fine-tooth comb. No, I'm going to go and say we drop that, right? And I can just... it's earlier. Then I could just give him his pants. And he's wearing some kind of, yeah. So if I wanted to draw him without his pants on, I have to be a little bit more careful about how I do it. But I think I just wanted to get the idea of where his feet should be and where his knees and stuff are going to be and that kind of thing. I don't know if this is useful to anybody, but I really appreciate if you're watching, and I'm just chilling, hanging out with you. Hopefully. Hope you guys are drawing along, doing your own thing, drawing, having a good time. That's all I'm trying to do, man. I'm just doing something I always want to do when I was younger, and it's never too late. Just get out here and do something. So I think that looks better. Like, I don't love those little curls I put in here, but looks like his pants are, yeah, like that. I mean, more or less, that's right. As it comes closer to the inseam of his pants, it's going to look cleaner. Okay, so now I'm going to just not delete, but erase this portion of his pants. So his pants are a little disheveled looking there, but I mean, they would be, just ran through the woods, Just gonna lazy hatch these just for the sake of doing so. To give it some depth. And there, now looks like he's wearing pants. Yeah, sorry if I'm not being as talkative this time. Oops. Sometimes I get locked into what I'm doing, and I just be pretty quiet, actually. I'm not a very quiet person, actually. Everybody always tell me I talk too much. When you know what? Shut up. We don't talk enough. How about that? So his neck actually is out a little too far, I think. See that your neck, like I said, it rolls kind of like that. And I'm trying to, and it drops down into your clavicle, and then this is his shirt, and his shirt's a little too large. There, go like this, yeah, more or less. I think that's right. And then on this side, I have his shirt come around. There we go. Sometimes it's stuff like that makes you feel like something's not right. That ought to work for now. His hand is massive, though. That's really, really big. Let's pull that down. I need to remind myself not to so much, man, then I could stop having to edit it out. Okay, so let's just assume he's... I don't even know. He's got his keys in his hand, maybe? His other arm's just kind of chilling, so that's fine. I guess we could just leave it back here. All right, so he looks okay. I mean, he's not perfect. That's okay, though. I'm not going for perfect. I'm going for finish. Finishing my story is what I'm going for. So he's wearing a... God, I don't even remember. I didn't even finish doing it on that. I think he's only wearing like a sleeved shirt. I'd have to look. This is what's killing my time is, again, you make yourself a story. I'm sorry, make yourself a story. Make yourself a character sheet and you won't have to do stuff like this. That's that one. I don't remember which page it's on. There's a lot of them close up talking, but then there's, yeah, see here, he's wearing a, that's what I was doing. Okay. I take breaks when I'm drawing this. I don't always sit for sessions and do this. I've been trying to lately, and it's been helping. But if I don't do that, then I won't get it done. Okay, and then your sleeve. I mean, you can make the impression that the sleeve comes up here, but you don't have to, perfectly cut it out because it's stitched together, so it's harder to see. But I am going to clean up his back a little bit, maybe. I think that's okay. Yeah, I think, too, see his eye here. I like his eyes squared like this. And then from the side, they kind of look rounded. And I think I need to tighten that up because I don't like it like that. Kind of hard to convey it rectangular like that. But I will try. Yeah, I think that's probably better. And also maybe make his eyes a little bigger because they're going for the big expressive, like really terrified look, Me personally, I don't think of comics as trying to be realistic. I mean, what's the point in that, right? I like them to be expressive and like ridiculous. And not necessarily, it doesn't have to be like everything has to be manga. I just mean I like when they're, look at him, he's terrified. That's cool. You're not going to get that unless you're using big expressive eyes. If you do it just, if you're trying to draw everything absolutely realistically, it would take a lot, because humans are really good about subtle changes. We can see them, and then we make sense of it as that person's scared or happy or whatever. That's why smiley faces work, right? And all that kind of stuff. It takes, if it's a really detailed drawing, though, you might not convey what you're trying to very easily because you make just the slightest mistake and you can't fix it easily. That's the idea of cartooning and comics and stuff, I think. See, look how much you change his expression by just that little bit of a line. I don't know. And also his chest. Oops. Let me get this. I'm going to make his chest a little bit more pronounced because I guess he's a stocky guy. So he's going to have his chest come out. Yeah. Almost like a superhero, A big old dude. There we go. And then his hand here, I don't know. I'll just give him a fist, I guess, because just little triangle points. It's usually good enough for a fist for me. And he's just going to have his hand kind of closed. So you see the thumb a little bit over the top of that. Usually like that. I mean, that's good enough, I think. That's more or less okay, I think. I say that because, like, instead of like, I'm figuring it out as I go. I'm judging myself just as hard as everybody else judges themselves, if not harder. You can judge me all you want to, man. I know I judge myself harder. Okay. And actually, I just realized that probably looks better like that. And then the pinky side is usually going to be on the smaller, the meatier part of the hand, is going to be down there. So it kind of flattens off on the pink side. Got a little bit of a roll to it at the bottom. A little fat, a little bit of meat. Not fat, but the meat of your hand is kind of there. Yeah. And then it kind of just rolls into the wrist. Something like that. And if you want to just make sure that you do the ulna, you can do a little bump. I do that sometimes because I do a little rounded edge there, and it looks kind of like your ulna sticking up. Works for me. It's like he's about to start to reach across his body to grab his keys or something like that. What I was going for. Actually, you know what? Let's put the lines. A lot of times you'll see in manga too, they'll do this kind of thing for the knuckles, which I think is really cool. But I think it depends on how detailed you want the drawing to be and how far away you are and all that good stuff too. But I don't know. I think that's okay. His other hand is my problem. Where do I want to put his other hand? I mean, I guess he could be getting into his pocket or something. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. What's his other hand doing? It's going to be doing something. You can always give the impression it's doing something. Yeah. Just do one of these. Maybe we'll just make it look like he's getting some out of his pocket. Keys or something. And then if he did do that, his shoulder should dip a little on this side. And then if he does do that, then his hand putting into his pocket should make his pocket bulge out a little bit and gives the impression that his hand is in there, right? I think that works. That's goofy. I didn't even do this on his foot. So shoot on here. He's got like hiking boots on, basically. That's what I had imagined. That's what they would be. That's good for now. Took me a lot longer than I intended it to, but I think that'll sure do. I need to go back through here, and anyone knows that reference? No. And I can promise you it's not the movie you think it is. Yeah, I was just doing this as like a shot where he's going to go back to his truck just to show that he's leaving. I don't think I need any more than that. I could do for the background. I could actually do, like, let's say a police station. I could just do, for now, just to have it as a placeholder, I can do something like the truck's facing this way. So, I mean, I could very well, put it in a parking spot. And then back here, he could be let's just pretend that this is the building back here of some kind. I don't know what exactly. I'm just winging this. I have no idea what I want to draw. Let's just say that's... No, I don't like that. I think I'm going to do the building further off in the distance. Yeah. That way it feels like he's far away from any real help, You can say police above the door or something. I have no idea. Police. For now. Placeholder. Just want to know what I'm doing. That way later when I see it, I'm going to be like, oh, that's what I wanted to do. Because I will forget, I'm telling you. I don't forget a lot of stuff, man, but I'll forget to do stuff like that. I'd be mad at myself. All right. There's the staircase. There. A little railing action. A little police station, like I said, maybe it doesn't even have wheelchair access because they're turds. All right. No, maybe it does have it. Maybe it's just on a separate side of the building, like over here. It could just be like a flat platform as this goes up this way. Again, this is just for later. This is for when I go to do this and I'll remember, like, oh yeah, I forgot I wanted to do that. So let's just say that's the center point here. Right here, the vanishing point would be here. So if that's the case, you should be able to see some part of the back of this building. And this should have a door. It's getting really sloppy. Maybe there's a door here. That's cool, I think. And this is just a parking lot. And I don't know. It's kind of. He's got some bushes back here, some trees or something. And I am thinking about like how this impacts the scene because I want it to make it feel like psychologically that he's way away from the police station. He's parked way back here. No one's coming for him. No one's going to help him. Kind of a feeling. And then maybe there's like a street lamp or something over here. Oh, that's terrible. And then this is like the only, really, it's like the only light out here, And then just one of these. And you don't see much else, Maybe there's a light there'd be a light above the door of the police station for sure. So we'll just make a little indication of a light here. That's pretty cool, I think. Again, I'm going to come back and make sure all this stuff is fully rendered out and everything. It looks really good. At least that's the hope. That's the intention. Had to get away from my mic for a second. There's that one. So you're standing in a parking space right now. Maybe there's oil on the ground. All right. I think that's pretty cool. And if you wanted to, you could do a whole backdrop, like a building back here. The place they're supposed to be in is going to be kind of rural. So I don't think I'm going to go too much trouble with that. Plus, this is going to be at night when he goes to report it. So if anything, there would be just rolling hills back here. And that gives you, oh yeah, that makes it creepy. And I don't know, there could be a road back here or something to get to the police station. It starts to really cut in that perspective where he's at. So you wouldn't necessarily see this just doing that for my own sake, but I'm thinking it would be pretty dark back here. So anyway, this has been a very, very long video. I'm going to try to edit down as much as I can. All right, that's going to wrap up this session. If you're enjoying the process, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.